You don't know what you do to me. Between me and you, I feel a chemistry. I won't let no one come and take your place. Cause the love you give, it can't be replaced. So
Hi guys, welcome to Dazzle's District. Your host Dazzle, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how I achieved this nude glam like everyday makeup. Most times I tend to lean towards a nude look because it's easy, it's beautiful, it matches my skin, it's everything, guys. Like one of my go-to makeup looks. And I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a pretty chill one. I show the products that I use and I basically just walk you through the steps that I went through to achieve this look. If this is your first time stopping by the district, you are very, very welcome. Thank you for clicking on this video. If you like it, please subscribe to join the district, share it with your friends, and hit the like button. For those of you that are returning subscribers and returning viewers, I'm very pleased to have you guys back here again. I hope you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out. If you guys really enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comment section so I can make more things like this. Without wasting any more time, let's get into the video. Hello everyone. So starting off, when I'm doing my makeup, I like to just grab my spoolie brush and comb out my lashes. They've usually tangled from how I slept the night before, after which I head straight for my brows and I just brush them into the shape that I want them. Then I sharpen my pencil and begin to outline the bottom and the top part of my eyebrow. I basically try to define it as much as I can, and then I begin to shade the space in between. Not too dark because you still want natural looking brows, after which you use your spoolie brush to brush off the excess pencil. I try to recreate what I've done on the first eyebrow to the second eyebrow, but they can't always be twins, so the least we can do is make them sisters. Make them as identical as possible and then brush off the excess pencil with the spoolie. And now we're taking our concealer, just touching a bit of it on my flat brush, and then we begin the proper outline. This is where we clean off all the mistakes, all the errors with the pencil. So I'm just going to define the bottom part, outline it into the actual shape I want the brow looking, clean off all of the edges, and then blend that into my skin. Moving to the right brow, we try to do the same thing for the goose, for the gander. So I'm basically just doing the same thing, outlining, cleaning, defining, and just preparing the brows for greatness. Yeah, but this is really the time to perfect the edges, the sides, the top, the bottom of the brow. I hear a lot of people saying that if you really define the bottom part of your eyebrow, you mostly won't need to touch the top. But personally, I just like how it looks when you've cleaned the top and the bottom and everything is just clean. I mean, I try my best, but I spend a lot of time on my brows, I think more than any part of my face. So I just like to get them as defined as I'd like. Yeah, so now that we're done with that, I just use a blending brush and just blend off the excess concealer. You can see it's all over my eye area, and I just try to get that into my skin before it dries off properly and becomes a bit harder to blend. So let's blend. And we're done and we like it. Moving on, I pick up my concealer. I just touch a bit of it on my eyelid and then blend that into my eyes. Yeah, just blend it very well. There's a lot of blending involved. You have to really get things to be evened out so they look good. After that, I just use my setting powder and then I just dab it a bit on my eyelid. This is just to sort of make for a base, because next I will be applying my eyeshadow. So I blend this in. Now we're ready. I pick up my Masquerade Mini by Juvia eyeshadow palette and I go in with the shade Fulani as my base. I use this to cover the entirety of my eyelid because it sets the tone for the rest of the shades that I will apply. I have to blend this in properly and evenly because if one lid looks a certain way, the other eyelid has to look that same way. So I have to just keep blending and just making sure everything is even and nice, and we're going at the same tempo on both eyes. So for my second layer, I'm going to be going in with the shade Zulu, and I'm just going to use that right over where I have used Fulani. I'll be blending that into the center area of my eyelid. Moving on, I go in with my Nubian 2 palette by Juvia and go in with the shade Morocco. Then with a flat brush, I begin to blend that particular shade right in the inner corner of my eye. I basically want to give it that pop of color just in the corner of my eye, so I have to stick to that area and just blend it in that area. I'm just trying to recreate the same thing on the other eyelid. Make sure that they're even, they look the same, and it's well blended. I look at it and I'm pleased, and I progress to just brushing off the eyeshadow from my lashes. I ended up having to just use my hands to clean them, and then I was finally done with my eyes. Going in with my Milk Face Primer, I just apply that in droplets on both sides of my face and then proceed to rubbing it well into my skin. This will basically set the tone for all the makeup I will put on my face and keep it looking good. Next, I moved on to my Black Opal foundation. I was having a little issue deciding on what particular shade to use today because I usually alternate. I decided on the Truly Topaz GK8, which I proceeded to apply on 3 spots on my face. Then going in with a round flat brush, I just started to blend that very well into my skin. This is where you really got to showcase your blending skill, because this is crucial to the makeup coming out really well. You've got to blend out every uneven tone or shade. Just everything on your face has to be completely blended and even so that it all sits well. Next, I go in with my MAC powder and a powder brush, and I just use that over the foundation. I use that to basically even out the tones and sort of mattify my face before I apply my concealer. Going in with my concealer, I apply that to my under eye and just my highlight points, which is my nose, under my nose, around my mouth, my forehead, and then I begin to blend that into my skin, but just in the patches of the areas that I applied them. Following this step, I go in with my powder applicator and I use that to apply a generous amount of setting powder underneath my eyes. I do this because I want to bake my face and get rid of all the oil or moisture on it. So I do it under my eyes, around my mouth, on the bridge of my nose, on my forehead. I also do this to make my face matte. I quickly brush off some powder and then proceed to outlining my cheekbones with the setting powder, because this will really help me when I'm contouring, which is the next step. If you notice, I'm not blending in the powder, I'm just leaving it there to set, and then I move on with an angled brush, which I use with the shade Madagascar from my Nubian palette to contour my face. I do this on both sides and it helps me to just outline my facial features, make my nose smaller, and just add all those defining touches that we all love. Next, using a powder brush, I just begin to blend off the excess setting powder, which has most likely set. So I clean up the ones under my eye, around my face, on my nose, just all over, and make it very clean, blended. And at this point, we're getting to the final stages of our makeup. I quickly use my spoolie brush to brush some of the hairs out of place, and then I run for my blush. Using a blush brush, I just apply a bit of that on my cheeks while smiling, because you gotta get those exact points. So I just blend that in on both sides, and we're good to go. Next, I pick up my flat brush, and I don't know if it's a flat brush or a fan brush, but anyways, I ended up picking Sunburst from my Anastasia Glow Kit palette, and I decided to try this new shade. I never tried it before, actually. It ended up blowing my mind, because literally just one touch on my face and I was like, wow. Like, is that me? Because like it was shining, it was glistening, it was dazzling, if you will, you know. So that really just added the last touch to everything. I did it on my highlight spots, which are my nose, cheekbones, forehead, just above my lip, and I just basically went crazy with it all over my face. I used my finger to apply some of it on my nose, just at the tip and on the bridge. Then I used the brush to just blend it in. Following that, I use a powder brush to blend everything together, and my lip liner to line my lips. I did a full lip line because I was going for a nude lip and everything just needed to be perfect. After that, I went in with my number 7 lipstick, and I applied this generously on my upper and lower lip. Picked up my mascara and just used that to brush out my bottom lashes, darken them a bit more. Next, I pick up my lip gloss and a brush, which I will use to apply the lip gloss. I use this as a top coat on top of the lipstick that I previously applied, and this just helps to make my lip shinier and glossy, which is the preferred look. At this point, we're getting to the end of the makeup look. Right now, I'm just reviewing, and I'm gonna go in with my edge booster to just do my baby hair. I usually prefer to do big swoops, and then I just scarf everything up. After that, I begin to style my hair, because nothing can be a mess. Get those braids looking good. After that, I just set my face and we're ready for the review.
No, what you do to me, between me and you, I feel like chemistry. I won't let no one come and take your place, cause the love you give, it can't be replaced. So no one else